Okay, this is a test 2 review for uh, Mac 1105C. There are 30 questions. The first problem is solve for y. Absolute value of y minus 16 equal negative 7. Because we would like to solve for y, so we have to isolate y on left side and bring this 16 to the right side. So I'm going to just add 16 both sides. That gives me absolute value of y equal 16 minus 7 is 9. So using the absolute value property, now we can say that either y equal positive 9 or y equal negative 9. So these are the two options, and these are the two solutions for this absolute value equation. So let's go to the number 2. We can use the very same idea here. First of all, we just want absolute value on one side and then everything else on other side. So in this equation, I'm going to add 40 both sides. In that way, on the left side, you can see 6v plus 3 is equal to 40 minus 13, which is 27. So by doing exactly the same as in number 1, I can divide, we can divide this absolute value of equation into two parts. One gives us 6p plus 3 equal positive 27, and another one is negative 27 because of this absolute value. 6b plus 3 equal negative 27. Now we need to solve both of this equation for v. For that, let's subtract 3, and we can do the same thing for both equations. In that way, the first one gives us 6p equal 24, and second one gives us 6p equal negative 30. To solve for v, we have to just divide both sides by 6 for both of them. So in that way, if you divide 24 by 6, that will be 4. So v equal 4 is one solution, and if we divide negative 30 by 6, that gives negative 5. So v equal negative 5 is another solution. So these are the solution 4 and negative 5 for equation 2. So now let's look at problem 3. Problem 3 is solve x squared equal 18 where x is a real number. Simplify your answer as much as possible. So I'm going to use this space here. Let's say problem 3, x squared equal positive 18. This is quadratic equation. To solve this kind of equation, we can directly use square root property, and that gives us x equal positive and negative square root of 18. And make sure that you have to simplify this, because if you look at the problem, it says simplify your answer as much as possible. So think about the prime factors of 18, and there are 2 times 3 times 3, so I can write 2 times 3 square, and in that way we can write square root of 2 times the square root of 3 square. So that means we cannot simplify this square root of 2 anymore, but we can simplify this square root of 3 square, which is 3. So the answer for number 3 is x equal 3 times the square root of 2. I can write the square root of 2 times 3 or 3 times the square root of 2. And another answer is negative 3 times the square root of 2. These are the two options. These are the two answers for this quadratic equation. X squared equal 18. That's for problem 3. For problem 4, once again, this is quadratic equation, so I'm going to bring it here. U plus 3 square minus 75. where u is a real number, and simplify your answer as much as possible. U plus 3 square minus 75 equals 0. So to solve for u here, first of all, we have to bring this 75 to the right side. And for that, I'm going to add 75 both sides. So in that way, on the left side, I have u plus 3 square. On the right side, I do have 75. So, now we can use the way we used in problem 3, we can use the square root property. That means we can write u plus 3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 75. Okay, so now to find the value of u, we can just subtract 3 from both sides, and that gives us u equal negative 3, positive and negative. Let's simplify 75, square root of 75. So that is actually 3 times 5 times 5, which is 5 square, and that is square root of 3 times square root of 5 square, which is, this is 5 times square root of 3. So this is 5 times square root of 3. So two answers for problem number 4 are u equal negative 3, negative 5 times square root of 3. That's the one answer. And another one answer is u equal negative 3, positive 5 square root of 3. So these are the two answers for problem 4. And we use this very same trick here. We use square, the quadratic, solving quadratic equation using square root property. So that's a problem 4. So now let's go to the next problem, problem 5. U square minus 12u plus something. Fill in the blank with a number to make the expression of a perfect square. So for the problem like this, to make the perfect square, always keep in mind, to find out this last number, you just have to divide this coefficient of u by 2, and the square of that would be your answer. So meaning here the coefficient of u is 12 divided by 2, that gives you 6. So to make it complete square, in this bracket, in this space, you just have to make the square of 6, which is 6 square. So by doing that, what happens is you can write down this trinomial as a square of the first term, which is u, and sign comes from the sign of this middle term, which is minus, and last term, which is 6. So this is actually u minus 6 square. Okay, so this is our answer, 6 square. Okay, so that's problem 5, completing the square. Let's go to the next problem, problem 6. Solve the quadratic equation by completing the square. So we're going to use the very same trick the way we completed this one, of completing the square, the way we did in problem 5. We're going to use a very similar trick here for problem 6. First of all, in problem 6, we have given this equation x squared minus 4x minus 10 equals 0. To complete the square and solve the quadratic equation, first of all, bring all the constant to the right side and just leave, the x terms on the left side. So here we just have to add 10 both sides, so that it will give us x squared minus 4x equal 10. And we are using completing a square thing, so on the left side we have to complete the square the way we did in problem 5. We have to add something on the left side to make it complete a square. In this case, the something is square of half of 4, which is actually 2 square. But since this is equation, so I cannot add just one side, I have to add both sides. And for so I'm adding 4 both sides. By doing that, on the left side I'm going to get a square of x minus 2, and on the right side it's a 10 plus 2 square, which is 14. Okay, so now x minus 2 square equal 14. That's our first work here to fill out. X, this would be our option, uh, x minus 2 square equal 14. And now we need to use the square root property and solve this equation. So x minus 2 square equal 14, and if we use the square root property, it gives us x minus 2 equal plus or minus square root of 14. Remember, we cannot simplify this square root of 14 anymore because the prime factors of 14 are 2 and 7. So there is nothing we can do. So to find the value of x, we just have to bring this to the right side by adding 2. So that gives us x equal 2 plus and minus square root of 14. So these are the two options. So the solution for this one is x equal 2 plus square root of 14. That's the one solution. And x equal 2 minus square root of 14. That's another solution. So these are the two solutions for this problem 6. Let's go to problem 7. Simplify square root of 72 plus 3 over 15. Here the simplification means you just have to simplify uh, radicals. If you see the radicals, you have to simplify that one. So in this problem, to simplify this radical 72, first of all you have to know the factors of 72, and factors of 72 are 2 times it's actually 6 times 6. I'm expressing 6 times 6 because that's a square, and that would be helpful to simplify this square root. So that's a 2 times square root of 6 square, which is basically 6 times the square root of 2. Okay, so I'm going to use that fact here. It's a 6 times the square root of 2 plus 3 over 15. So we have to simplify it as much as possible. So look at here at this point, there is a top term and then bottom one. So try to factor out the top from the top. So if you factor out 3 from the top one, it gives us 2 times the square root of 2 plus 1 over 15, which is actually 3 times 5. So we can cancel this 3 and 3, and finally this leftover would be our answer. So the answer is 2 square root of 2 plus 1 over 5. That's final answer. Final answer. And that's question number 7. Let's go to question number 8. Use quadratic formula to solve for x. To use quadratic formula, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is the quadratic equation, and to use a quadratic formula, we just compare these two equations and find out a, b, and c. So here, if we compare, the coefficient of x squared is 5, so a is 5. The coefficient of x is 9, so b is 9, and constant term is 2, that's why c is 2. Now we're going to use formula, quadratic formula, x equal negative b, positive or negative square root of b square minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. That's the quadratic formula. We're going to just plug the value of a, b, c here. B is 9, plus and minus, these are the two options here. B square, which is 9 square, which is 81, minus 4 times a times c. If you multiply 4, 5, and 2, that will be 20. Divide by 2 times a, which is 5. So finally, on the top, it will be negative 9 plus or minus square root of 41 divided by 10. So these are the two, values for x. Meaning x might be, let me go back here. X might be negative 9 positive square root of 41 divided by 10, or x might be negative 9 negative square root of 41 divided by 10. So these are the two answers for this problem number 8. Okay, after that let's go to number 9. This is the radical equation. To solve the radical equation, we try to keep radical on one side if there is just one radical, and bring everything else on other side. So here in this case, we can rewrite this equation like if I add 2 both sides, that gives me 3 equal square root of 4 times v minus 23. So now to get rid of this radical sign, we can just square both sides. And I can do this thing. I can square both sides, I can cube both sides of the equation. And now if I do that, on the left side there will be 9, and on the right side this radical sign will be gone. So it will be 4v minus 23. Now we need to solve for v, and for that we have to isolate the v. So let's add 23, and by doing that, this equation will be 9 plus 23 is 32 equal 4 times v. And now for finding the value of v, just divide both sides by 4. So eventually 32 divided by 4 is 8. So v equal 8 is the solution for this problem number 9. But keep in mind, after finding the solution, you always have to check your answer here. So if I plug v equal 8 here, so 9 times 4 times 8 is 32 minus 23 is that's 9. So square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. So that looks good. Okay, so this is the answer for problem number 9. Let's go to next problem. Very same idea. There is a radical sign, and the radical sign is already isolated. So just take the square both side. Square both side. By doing that, on the left side, we get 6b, negative 6b plus 37 equal v minus 5 squared. That means you have to multiply v minus 5 and v minus 5, and that gives you v squared minus 10v plus 25. Now to solve this equation, let's bring this negative 6v and this 37 to that side by just adding 6v and subtracting 37. By doing that, on the left side there will be 0, and on the right side we just have to simplify this, combine the like terms. So 0 equal v squared minus 4 times v plus minus, so it's a 12, okay, because that's 25. Negative 37 plus 25 gives you negative 12. So now we need to solve this equation, quadratic equation. So there are different ways we can use to solve this quadratic equation. We might use completing square and then use the square root property. We might use quadratic formula, but I'm going to use here what we can use here. I'm going to use maybe let's say factoring if it's possible. So negative 12 can be factored as 6 times 2. So let's do that. I can rewrite this 0 equal v minus 6 v plus 2. So negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Negative 6 plus positive 2 gives you negative 4. So by doing that, we have two options now, v equal 6 and negative 2. But keep in mind, whenever we are trying to solve this kind of radical equation, we always have to check either both of them are the possible solution or not. So to check that, just substitute the value of v, whatever we got here, in the given radical, and inside the radical, keep in mind that should be always non-negative. That's how you check either that is the valid solution or not. So I'm going to do checking here. I'm going to just put inside that radical negative 6 v plus 37. When I put x equal v equals 6 and negative 2, what happens inside this radical. So I'm going to put 6 first. So negative 6 times 6 positive 37 is actually square root of 1, which is 1. So that means that is the valid solution. 6 is the valid solution. But what happens if I put negative 2? Negative 6 times negative 2 plus 37, that is 12 plus 37, that is uh, 12 plus 37 is 49, which is square root of 49 is 7. So that means 7 equal negative 2 minus 5, which is negative 9, negative 7. So if I substitute v equal negative 6, I get 1 on the left side, and I need to put this value of this thing back uh, in the given equation. And the equation is actually, the original equation is actually square root of negative 6v plus 37 equal v minus 5. And as you can see, by plugging v equal 6 on the left side, I got 1. So v equals 6 on the left side gives me 1, and if I put v equals 6 on the right side, it gives me 6 minus 5 is 1. So the first one is a valid solution, but the second one, if I put v equal negative 2 on the left side, it's supposed to be 7, but on the right side it becomes negative 7. So that gives us 7 equal negative 7, which is not true, and that's because the second solution is not right. This gives us 1 equal 1, 1 equal 1, but this gives us negative 7 equal positive 7, or positive 7 equal negative 7, which is not true. So that's why the only possible answer is v equal 6. So v equals 6 is the answer. So after, if you are solving a radical equation, after raising this power to the even power, always check that you might have some, extraneous solution. That means that is not, the right solution or true solution. So you always have to check after finding this potential solution, you always have to substitute this potential solution back in the given equation and check which gives you the true statement. Okay, so that's problem 10. Let's go to problem 11. This is also radical equation. So because there is a radical sign on the left side and there is a radical sign on the right side, we just have to square both sides, and by squaring, on the left side it is 6x plus 11, and on the right side it is 9x plus 12. What I did is I just square both sides. So now I just have to solve this equation. So I'm going to subtract 9x and I'm going to subtract 11, and that gives me negative 3x equal negative 9. And if I just divide both sides by negative 3, that would be x equal 3. So if I put x equal to 3 on the left side of this equation, the original one, it will be square root of 6 times 3 plus 11, which is square root of 18 plus 11 is 29, equal square root of 9 times 3 is 27 plus 2 is 29. So this gives us the valid statement. So that means this is the right answer. Okay. So that's problem 11. For the problem 12, as you can see, there is just only one radical sign. So our first job to solve for you is to isolate this radical term. For that, let's subtract 4 both sides. And by doing that, we get 4th root of 6 times u plus 15 on the left side, and we get 3 on the right side. Because there is a 4th root, just take power 4 both sides. We can do that. And by doing that, the radical sign on the left side would be gone, and it gives us 6u plus 15 equal 3 to the power 4, which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. So if I subtract 15 both sides, so on the left side I will have 6u, and on the right side I will get 81 minus 15 is 65, right? 65. 81 minus 15 is it's not 65, actually it's a 66. So to find the value of u, just divide both sides by 6, and that will give us u equal 11. So now after finding the value of u, we can always go back and put u equal 11 in the given original equation. If we do that, here we see that fourth root of 6 times 11 is 66 plus 15, which is 81. Fourth root of 81 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7, and that is the right statement. So u equal 11 is the right answer. Okay, so that's problem 12. And now for the problem uh, 13. Calculate the distance between the 2 points, -1, -1, which is this one, and 2, -6, which is this one. Give an exact answer, not decimal place. Okay, so that means we're going to use a distance formula, d equal a square root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So let's assume that this is x1 y1 and this is x2 y2. Keep in mind, you can always switch this notation. You can say this first one as x2 y2 and then second one as x1 y1. It doesn't matter. So now finally we're going to put this value here. X2 is 2 minus x1 is -1 squared plus y2 is -6 minus the y1 is -1 squared. So if we try to simplify this, it will be 2 plus 1 squared plus -6 plus 1 squared, which is basically 3 squared, which is 9, plus -5 squared, which is 25. So it's a square root of 34. So now, because we cannot simplify this square root of 34 anymore, so this would be our exact distance. Remember, exact means with the radical sign. And if you want to find out the approximation, then you can use the calculator, but you don't need calculator to find the exact answer. That was problem 13. Let's go to problem 14. We are asked to find the midpoint of a and b. Let's say somewhere here. The midpoint formula, x and y. Let's say this is the midpoint of a and b, and there is a formula for the midpoints. The x can be found by finding the average of the x coordinate of these 2 points. Y coordinate of this midpoint can be found by finding the average of the y coordinate of these 2 points. If we plug the value of these coordinates here, that gives me -6, -2 over 2. For y, I'm going to get, no, for the x, it's a -8 and +4. -8 and +4. For the y, it's -6 and -2. If we simplify this, -4 divided by 2 is -2. So that's the x coordinate. And the y coordinate is divide -8 by 2, which is -4. So the coordinate for the midpoint of these 2 points are -2 comma -4. So that's our answer, the midpoint. For this one, you have to know the midpoint formula. Okay. Let's go to the next problem. Problem 15. Problem 15, we have given the graph of a function is given. Give all x-intercept and y-intercept. So x-intercept means the point where the graph is intersecting with the x-coordinate, x-axis, which is in this case it's a +1 0 and another one is +3 0. These are the x-intercept. Y-intercept means the point of intersection of the graph with the y-axis, which is in this case 0, 3. So that's the y y-intercept 0, sorry, it's -3 because it's going down, so it's -3. And the x-intercepts, it's 1, 0 and 3, 0. These are the 2 points. Okay, so that's problem 15. So let's go to the next problem, problem 16. Problem 16 is the equation of a circle is given. Identify the radius and center of the circle. Keep in mind, the standard equation of circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared, where h and k gives the center of this circle and r gives the radius of that circle. If we compare this standard equation with the equation we have given, we find the value of h equal -2, because it's supposed to be negative here. If it's positive, you have to flip the sign. And the value of k is +5, and the radius is 4, because 16 can be written as 4 squared. So now we can use this information and we can write the radius is 4 and center is at -2 and +5. After finding the radius and center, our goal is to plot the graph of this circle. So first of all, plot the center point which is at -2, 5. And that will be somewhere here, -2, 5. That's our center of the circle. And to draw the radius, because to draw the circle, complete circle, we have to use the information about the radius. So let's find out the 4 points, to the up, below, left and right, 4 units than this from the center. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4 units up, the 1 point would be here. 2, 3, 4 units right, that's another point. 1, 2, 3, 4 units left, that's another point. 1, 2, 3, 4 units down, that's another point. Now we just have to draw a circle through these 4 points. That's a circle, and which is where the center is at -2, 5, and radius is +4. Okay, and that's problem 16. Let's go to next problem, problem 17. Problem 17 is we have given a circle in this general form, and we need to find the center and radius. And keep in mind, always if you have given a circle in general form, to find out the center and radius, you have to change that circle into standard form. And for that, you have to just write down the x terms together. In this case, it's x squared plus minus 6x, and y term together, which is in this case y squared plus 8y. And you have to bring the constant to the right side. That means by subtracting 16, we can keep this -16 on the right side. Now we have this x terms and then y terms, so we have to complete the square here. And to complete the square, we have to add some numbers here, and which can be found by dividing this coefficient of x by 2. So if we divide this 6 by 2, that will give us 3. So we have to add 3 square both sides. Remember, here we're trying to complete this square. So we are going to do the same thing for this y terms. Because there is a 8, I'm going to add square of half of 8, which is 4 square both sides. By doing that, from these first 3 terms, I can write x minus 3 square, and from this last 3 terms, I can write y plus 4 square equal, on the right side it's a 4 square plus 3 square, which is just 3 square, minus 16 is 3 square. So now if we compare this equation with the standard equation of circle the way we did in previous problem. Like here, the value of hk gives us the center and the r gives us the radius. So in this case, the center is at 3 comma negative 4. If there is a plus sign, that means you have to make the minus 4. The radius is 3. So we're going to plot this 3 comma negative 4, which is somewhere here, and the radius is 3, so we just go 3 unit up, down, left and right. 1 2 3, that's the 1 point. 1 2 3, that's another point. 1 2 3, that's another point. 1 2 3, that's another point. So now we just have to draw a circle passing through these 4 points. So that's a circle center at 3 comma negative 4 and radius 3. And that's problem 17. Let's go to next problem, problem 18. Write an equation of the circle with center 3 comma negative 2 and radius 6. So we're going to use the standard equation, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared, where this center gives us the value of h and k, and this is the radius. So if I plug h, k and r here, it would be x minus 3 squared plus y minus minus 2, that would be y plus 2 squared, finally equal to 6 squared. So that's the equation of a circle center at 3 comma negative 2 and radius 6. That's problem 18. For problem 19, we can use the very same formula, and by doing that, we just need to find in this problem. You can see that there is a find an equation of circle that has a center at 1 negative 5. So center is given and passes through 5 negative 1s, but we don't have given radius. But we know that if we have a center, which is in this case it's a 1 comma negative 5, and this circle passes through 1 point, let's say 5 comma negative 1, then we can find the radius by finding the distance between these 2 points. So we need to use two formula here. The first one is distance formula for finding the radius, and second one is this standard circle formula. So let's find out the radius. Radius is the distance between these 2 points. So we have to use the distance formula, which is x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. In this case, you can assume the 1 point is x1 y1 and the another point is x2 y2. So I'm assuming 1 and negative 5 as x1 y1 and 5 negative 1 is x2 y2. So by doing that, let's see, 5 minus 1 square plus y2 is negative 1 minus y1 is negative 5 square, and that gives us 4 square plus negative 1 positive 5, that will be again 4 square, negative 4 square. So it is 16 plus 16, because the square of the negative is positive number, so that is the square root of 32, which is basically 4 times the square root of 2 after simplification. So that's the radius. 4 times the square root of 2 is the radius. So now to find out the equation of circle, we can use a center, which is center is given at 1 negative 5. So x minus h square plus y minus, because there is a minus for the center y coordinate, so that becomes 5 square equal r square. As you can see that the r radius is square root of 32, so the square of this number is 4 squared times 2, which is 32. So eventually the equation would be this one. So this is the equation of circle. Okay, that's problem 19. If you understood problem 19, then solving the problem 20 is not that difficult, because in problem 20 we have given a diameter uh, and 2 points on the diameter. By using that, we can find out the center and radius of that circle by using distance and midpoint formula. So let's assume that this is a circle and these 2 points, they are the endpoints of the diameter. So the one is -5, -3, another one is 1 and -1. So to find out the radius, we can find out the distance between these 2 points and divide it by 2, because the radius would be half of the distance of half of the diameter. And to find out this center, it's k, that's the midpoint of these 2 points. So I'm going to first find the distance, which is the radius, by using radius formula, which is x2. Let's say this is x2 y2 and this is x1 y1. So x2 minus x1, which is 1 minus 5, so it becomes plus y2 minus y1, that is -1 minus 3, that is +3. And if I simplify this, it's a 6 squared plus 2 squared, which is square root of 40. That's the distance. Sorry, it's not radius, actually it's a diameter. So let's say this is a diameter d. If we try to simplify this square root of 40, then it would be 2 times square root of 10. So we found the diameter, and now for finding the radius, the radius is half of the diameter, which is actually square root of 10. If you divide this by 2, this 2, and then divide by 2 will be cancelled out, so the only thing you can see is square root of 10. So that is the radius of the circle we are trying to find the equation for for this problem. But we still have to find the center of that circle, and we can find that thing by using this midpoint formula. So let's assume that center of the circle is HK, and now by using the midpoint formula I'm going to need this thing. H is the average of x coordinate, which is x2 plus x1 over 2, and k is the average of the y coordinate, which is y2 plus y1 over 2. Let's plug the value of x2 x1 here, which is 1 minus 5 over 2. Let's plug the value of y2 y1 here, which is a -1 -3 over 2. So h is -4 divided by 2 is -2, and k is -4 divided by 2 is -2. So the center of the circle is at -2, -2. Now we know the center, we know the radius is square root of 10. We can find out, let me write down this problem in next page. So the equation of circle would be x minus center, which is plus 2 squared, because the center, x coordinate of the center has negative sign, plus y minus, because this is negative sign, becomes positive 2 squared, equal r squared, which is square root of 10 squared, which is 10. So this is the equation of the circle for this problem. Okay, that's problem 20. Let's do problem 21. Graph the line. So y equal 3x. To plot the graph of any line, you just need 2 points. So you can find the 2 points here, plot those 2 points in the graph, and just join those 2 points. I'm going to just choose x equal to 0. That gives me y equals 0. That's the 1 point. 0, 0 is my 1 point. I can choose any value of x, but to find the value of y, I have to substitute that value of x in the given equation. So for the second point, I'm going to choose x equal 1. And if I put x equal to 1 here, it gives me y equals 3. So next point would be 1 comma 3. So 0 0 is this point, 1 comma 3 is this point. Now the line is just join these 2 points, and that's how you get the line. So that's the graph of the line passing through these 2 points. So remember, graphing the line is a very easy thing if you know how to find the points. So for example, here in this equation, this is this is slope intercept form. So I can find out the y-intercept. Y-intercept is basically when x is 0, the y value is 4, so the y-intercept is 0 4. So plot the y-intercept first. So 0 4, which is somewhere here. Now to find out the next point, either you can use this table method and find out the next point, or you can use the slope here. The slope in this case is negative 1/3. So that means if you rise 1 unit up, this is rise, this is run. If you rise 1 unit up, because of this negative sign, instead of running to the right side, you run to the left side. So 1 unit up, 1 2 3 unit left. So this will be our next point on the line. So finding the next point using a point and then slope is very easy. So just join these 2 points, and that's the graph for the next point. I use 2 points. One is 0 4, it's coming from y-intercept. Another one is I found by using the slope, rise over run. But because I rise 1 unit up, but because of the negative sign, instead of running to the right side, we have to run to the left side. That's problem 22. Let's go to problem 23. We have to graph the horizontal line. Y equal constant means it's a horizontal line, and for this kind of line you just draw a line passing through negative 3. So negative 3 is here. You have to draw the horizontal line. So make sure that you draw it properly. And look at here, it's a negative 3. It's passing through negative 3. For next problem, the equation of line is given. We need to find out the x-intercept and y-intercept, and we need to plot the graph. So for finding the x-intercept, we put y equal to 0 in the given equation. And if we put y equal to 0 in the given equation, what happens is I'm going to get 3x plus 0 equal negative 12. I need to solve for x. So x would be negative 4. So the x-intercept would be negative 4 comma 0. I'm going to plot that on the in the this rectangular coordinate system. To find out the y-intercept, we have to put x equal to 0 in the given equation. So if I put x equal to 0 in the given equation, I will get 2y equal negative 12. And if I just divide both sides by 2, I will get y equal negative 6. So the y-intercept is 0 comma negative 6. So 0 comma negative 6 is this point. Okay, so we just have to join these 2 points, and that would be the graph for this line. So find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept, plot them and join them. Number 25, for each of these lines, determine whether the slope is positive, negative, 0 or undefined. The first line is horizontal, so slope should be always 0. Horizontal line means nothing changed, no rise, no run, so that means it's just a 0. For vertical line, the slope would be undefined, always. And if the line is going up from left to right, the slope is positive. If line is going down from left to right, while you walk from left to right, the slope is negative. So the answer is 0, undefined, positive and negative. Let's go to next problem, problem 26. Find the slope of the line passing through the points, these 2 points. If you have 2 points on the line, there is a formula for finding the slope. that is difference between the y coordinate over the difference between the x coordinate. So let's assume that the first point is x1 y1 and second point is x2 y2. Just plug the value of y2, which is -7, y1, which is -3, x2, which is 7, x1, which is -9. So if we just simplify this one, it will be -7 +3 over 7 plus 9, and this is -4 over 16, which is 1/4. So the slope of a line joining these 2 points, -9, -3, and 7, comma -7 is -1/4. For problem 27, find the slope and then y-intercept of the line. First of all, if you want to find the slope and y-intercept, you always have to write down the line in terms of y equal mx plus b, where m gives you the slope and b gives you the y-intercept. So to write down this in this form, just bring the x. So let me write down the equation here. 6x plus 3y equal -9. First of all, I just have to subtract 6x. This gives me 3y equal -6x -9. And because I'm going to do this number 28 to the next page, because we need nothing in front of y, we need just 1, we have to divide both sides by 3, and by doing that we get y equal -2 times x -3. So if you compare this equation with y equal mx plus b, the slope is -2, that's the slope, and y-intercept comes from this number, which is -3 as well. So slope is -2, and then y-intercept is 0, -3. Okay, that's problem 27. Let's go to okay, problem 28. For the problem 28, write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line with the slope 1/5 and y-intercept is -9. So we need to find out the equation. So just use y equal mx plus b. Put m equal 1 over 5x, m equal 1 over 5, and y-intercept is -9, so the value of b is -9. So the equation would be y equal 1/5 times x minus 9. Now to plot so that equation goes here. So to plot the graph, you start with the y-intercept -9, so that means -9 is somewhere here, and because slope is 1/5, it's a rise 1 unit up and round 5 unit to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our second point on the line. If we join these 2 points, that will give us the graph for the line. Okay, that's problem 28. Now questions 29. A line passing through the points -8, 6 and has a slope of 3 over 4. We need to write down the equation of the line. I'm going to do this problem 30 to the next page, so I'm going to use this space here. To do this problem, you have to know this formula. If you have a point from a line with the slope, this is the formula for the equation of line. Y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1, where this x1 and y1, they are the coordinate of the point given, and then m stands for the slope. I'm just going to plug the value of this thing here. Y1 is 6, m is 3 over 4, x1 is -8, so negative times this negative becomes +8. So if you want to simplify this, just add 6 both sides. So y equal 3 over 4, x plus 8 plus 6. But keep in mind, in this problem, we are asked to write down the equation in slope-intercept form. So we need to distribute this 3 over 4 here. 3 over 4x plus 3 over 4 times 8 gives us 6. Okay, if you multiply 3 over 4 and 8, that will be 6, and there is another 6 here. So that will be eventually 3 over 4x plus 12. So this equation in slope-intercept form is 3 over 4x plus 12. That's problem 29. Finally, the problem 30. We have given a graph and we need to find the equation of line. So by looking at this graph, we can see that this line is passing through negative 4 comma 6 and positive 6 negative 6. Keep in mind, if you check problem 29, as I mentioned here, you can find the equation of line if you know a point and then slope. We know two different points, but we don't know the slope. But we can find the slope if we know two different points. So this is problem 30. I can find the slope first, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's assume that this is x1 y1 and this is x2 y2. I'm going to put y2, which is negative 6, y1 is which is positive 6, x2 which is positive 6, x1 which is negative 4. So that will be negative 12 over 10, because negative times negative becomes positive. This is, after simplification, it is negative 6 over 5. That's the slope. Now we know the equation of a line passing through a point x1 y1, and then slope negative 6 over 5 is y minus y1, which is in this case 6, equal m, which is negative 6 over 5, x minus x1, which is negative 4 in this case. So y minus 6 equal negative 6 over 5, x plus 4. Remember, we are trying to find the equation, so this is the equation. You can simplify more. So we can just distribute this negative 6 over 5 here, and we can just add 6. So y equal negative 6 over 5x, negative 6 over 5 times 4, positive 6. We can combine these two. So that is negative 6 over 5x. I can just multiply, top and bottom 5 to make the same denominator. By doing that, you can see that there is a negative sign here, so I can just write on 5 on the top. That would be 6 times 4 is 24, and because I factor out negative, I can just change this sign of 6 times 5 by negative, so it would be 30. 6 times 5 is 30. I change this plus to minus because there is a negative sign here, and I'm just combining these two terms as one single term. So if you subtract this 24 minus 30, that will be positive, negative 6 on the top. And because there is a negative already, it would be negative 6 over 5, positive 6 over 5. Y equal this. So that's the equation of line for this line where we have given 2 points. So there were 30 questions from test 2 review. Okay, all the best for your test 2.